But what else do we see in response to human wickedness and God's response? Well, if God was one of those Babylonian gods or Assyrian gods or Egyptian gods, you might get him throwing a tantrum at this point. A fit of rage, maybe hurling thunderbolts down from heaven. But what do we see in verse 6? It's not like that at all, is it? The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. I actually prefer the older translation in the previous version of our Bible, the NIV. The Lord was grieved that he was sad, he was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. His heart was filled with pain. I remember being struck by this verse first time I saw it because it's so full of emotion. I tend to think of God as a sort of static, like a statue really, an emotionless God, has no feelings, passionless. And I saw this, that his heart was filled with pain over what had happened on the earth, over the human wickedness. And his speaking isn't about the Lord's sadness, the Lord's sorrow. There's a sense of deep disappointment here. Even a broken heart, I think. His heart was filled with pain. And that's a sign of what? It's a sign of love, isn't it? When somebody really lets you down, and you feel sad, you feel deeply sad. That's a mark of love. God's beautiful world, so beautiful, chapter 1 and 2, has spiraled down into this depth of depravity, violence and corruption. There is anger there, and he will act in anger, but it is full of sorrow. And I want to say to you that a mark of righteous anger, a mark of good anger, because there is a good anger, isn't there? Sometimes it is right to be angry. A mark of good anger in the Bible, in God, is that it is full of sorrow. Our human anger often comes with bitterness, resentment, hatred. But God's anger comes with sorrow. It's really sad that this has happened. So we see this emotion in God. We see that God is emotional, not in the way the other gods were emotional, capricious, flaky, fitful, but real emotion, real feeling, real heart is here in our God, our Creator. That's why we have emotions, because we are made in His image. And yet this God is not helplessly emotional. We can be helplessly emotional, can't we? We can be so upset about something. We just can't do anything. You almost faint to the ground. And God is not overcome by his emotion. And he will act. He will do what is right. He will punish wickedness with the death it deserves. And so, as David has pointed out, we see here a moral God. A God with a clear sense of right and wrong. And the gods of the other nations did not have that. They were, like David said, just bigger humans all over the place. But God is, as Abraham will later call him in this book, the judge of all the earth. And he must punish wickedness. He is the one who takes final responsibility for justice and judgment in this world.